Jesse Minter's first words as Ravens head coach, new OC and DC on the way, and a former friend is now a head coach in the division. So much to talk about on this episode of the Purple Rain podcast. Welcome back to the Friday Eve edition, the 374th edition of the Purple Rain podcast. The James Hurst, Tyree Phillips, Michael Orr, David Sharp, and Josh Jones episode of the Purple Rain podcast. Per usual, with this new regime now, a lot to talk about today on the Thursday episode. The introductory interview or press conference was there out for Jesse Minter, so that's a lot to talk about today. And then off, Todd Monken, we have that. And then just around the league, man, the news doesn't stop. It feels like there's new rumors every day. I saw the Eagles just hired their new OC, so it feels like we will keep on getting news probably up until after the draft, just about weekly. So I see Lisa in here saying she's not convinced by Jesse Minter. I think this episode should help if we haven't helped you in prior episodes, but as of right now, not trying to be a biased fan, I think the Ravens got the best head coach available. That's just me. I think it's the best fit. We'll get in all of that. But yeah, per usual, you can follow us on Instagram at the Purple Rain Podcast. This guy right here on Instagram or on X at Sutton Def. Me, Instagram simply as10.prod, X simply as10. And yeah, happy Thursday. We're almost at the weekend. I know I'm happy about that. I'm happy to talk about some Ravens football here. Sutton, how are you doing? A lot has happened, surprisingly, since we've talked on Monday last.
Yeah, definitely a lot has transpired in the Ravens world. I'm starting to call it the Real Housewives of the Baltimore Ravens because there's just drama. I mean, you can talk about that with the AFC North. There's drama everywhere, like we talked about, or like you alluded to. Todd Monken is now the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. Like, who saw that coming? Not me. So, it's been throwing me for a loop this week, but I'm doing well despite all of the craziness in the media cycle. Like we mentioned before we went live, Alex. I mean, Jesse Minter talked about a lot. I know you haven't seen it yet. So we're all going to kind of react to it together. And Lisa put in the chat, she says she's not convinced yet on Jesse Minter. And this episode absolutely will help with that. I promise you, Lisa. And all of you guys watching right now, we appreciate y'all for coming through. Make sure you leave a like on this video. Let's get that out of the way early here. And subscribe to the channel as well. And I'd be remiss if I did not mention our giveaway for our members. As you guys saw, when the credits rolled at the title at the top of the show, you saw everybody who's currently entered for a chance to win a free Lamar Jackson jersey. All you have to do to actually automatically enter yourself into the running for that is become a member of our channel here. It's the official Rain Gang membership. Right now, we've got about 27 members. So if you do want to join, you still have a very good chance at winning that jersey. So just wanted to lead off with some housekeeping things like that. But I got to bring up who's here in the live chat really quick. And also, shout out to the Replay Gang. If you're part of the Replay Gang, leave a comment down below. We'd appreciate that. I see Chike in the chat. Void is in the chat. Glaucoma. Lisa's in the chat. Sam is in the chat. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Appreciate y'all for coming through. Make sure you sound off. Yeah. All right. So, Alex, it's been 1 week since the Ravens hired Jesse Minter. And real quick, Void with the membership, the gifted membership. Appreciate that. Void gifting the membership here. And that goes to Mocha Nurse. Shout out to Mocha Nurse, newest member of the Rain Gang. You are automatically now in the running for the free Lamar Jackson jersey. Congratulations to you. And shout out to you, Void. Showing love. But again, Alex, there's been so much talk around Jesse Minter. It's been about a week since we hired him. People are still kind of on the fence about it. I'm kind of checking the pulse of the Ravens flock. Some people are on board. Some people are still saying, nah, we should have went with an offensive guy. But to me, everything that I've seen thus far from Jesse Minter tells me that we have the next genius head coach, right? I'm talking about not the next Mike McDonald, not the next, McVay, Ben Johnson. I'm talking about the next Jesse Minter, right? The first Jesse Minter. I think this guy has all of the tools in the toolbox. I mean, I think he has the leadership skills, right? With just making guys feel as involved as he does, and guys in LA who he most recently coached at DC, they can attest to that. Guys like Derwin James give him big props, right? Other guys on that roster as well. The leadership and also the attention to details and the X's and O's. I mean, this guy is literally one of the best teachers, like teachers, right? In this league. Like, forget coaching, teaching the game of football, right? Especially on the side of the defensive side of the football. I love that. I love that. And what we're going to get ready to listen to here is some highlights of some things that he said today. And we're going to react to that live here. Alex, again, like I told you before, don't be afraid. Stop me. Let me know when to stop and you can react live if you get something that comes to your heart. Does that sound cool?
Sounds good. Sounds good.
All right. All right. So without any further ado, let's get into what Jesse Minter had to say today as he literally took the media by storm, going on literally every single platform. We're not going to show all of it, but here is the intro to Jesse Minter.
I do plan on calling the defense. Great question. I think that's a strength of mine. I think that's one of the reasons I'm sitting here. But I also think it's my leadership qualities. And I really look forward. I have a really good process, I feel, to do what I need to do to be ready to call the game, but also have the ability to be the head coach and to impact the entire roster, the entire team, make sure that it's our offense, our defense, our special teams, and that there's no divide there, and I know that I'm in charge of all that. But it starts with the relationships with the people in the building, particularly the players. And I think they'll feel my competitiveness, they'll feel my mentality every day. And I think we'll work hand in hand together to build a great team. Yeah, Lamar and I have had multiple conversations. It's been great. It's been great to get to know him. I think relationships take time, and so you don't become the head coach of the Ravens and expect to have a deep relationship with anybody. So those take time. We've been working towards that already. We've had wonderful conversations. Look forward to many, many more. But Lamar, I just look forward to connecting with him, helping him become the best version of himself, creating a team identity that allows him to thrive, which he's already, proven to be an elite, one of the best player in the National Football League, and put a team around him that allows him to reach that ultimate goal of bringing a Super Bowl back to Baltimore. Kyle is a weapon. He is a positionless defensive player that I would classify as a weapon on defense. And so as much as you can do to get a guy like Kyle near the point of attack, I think is what you try to do as a designer, play caller. And so could not be more thrilled to be able to work with Kyle. I've had a couple really good conversations with him already. And I know he's excited, and I'm excited to work with him alongside all the really great players that we have in this organization. Yeah, great question. I won't confirm any hires at this point. Both of those searches are going really well. They're very far along, I would say. We're finalizing a few of those pieces. I'm looking for leaders and connectors and relationship builders and schematic expertise. But most importantly, guys that the players believe in, that they're willing to dive deep and build real strong relationships with the players. I think when they feel that it's collaborative and they feel that it's ours and not just the coaches and this is what the players do, this is what the coaches do, it's all of us. And so I'm excited about the people involved in those searches right now, and I look forward to sharing those in the near future. Football identity, I would say, is physical, tough, relentless, together. I think when people turn on our film, I want them to see a team that's really well connected, that plays for each other. And I think when you do that, when you play like a Raven, you play together. It's more about everybody that's out there with you. You're not just playing for yourself. You're playing for everybody. There's a physicality that comes along with that. There's a mental and physical toughness that comes along with that. There are schematic things that come along with that, like all the great coaches over time that have been here, that have led historical outputs on both sides of the ball. I think that all encompasses what it means to play like a Raven, and really look forward to building that with our team, creating our own identity in that regard, and building on what's been done here in the past.
Let's talk a little bit about the defenses that you have manned. Everybody that has played defensive football is impressed by your defenses. And Hembo sent us over a stat earlier today about Derwin James's career, where he was at before you got there, and then what you're able to do with him. And then obviously we look at the Ravens defense. We see a superstar over there as well. Go ahead, Con, man.
Yeah, Coach, the jersey's hanging behind you. I love your strategy. Just go to a defense that has an all-pro safety and let's move them everywhere. And that's basically what you can do with Kyle Hamilton. What was the draw? with that defense. Kyle, Roquan Smith, two pillar players. It feels like in this league for a long time, both all pros, both Pro Bowlers. But what do you envision kind of the strategy with them? And are you just going to basically show Derwin James tape to Kyle Hamilton and just say, hey, do this?
Well, ironically, a couple years ago when I was getting to the Chargers, I had looked at a lot of the stuff that Kyle had done here in 2023. So showed Derwin some Kyle film. Now show Kyle some Derwin film. Two great players in their own right, unique in their own style. But I just felt like this is an organization that expects to play great defense, expects to have the most dominant defense in the NFL. And I think any quarterback's best friend is having the best defense in the league. And so there's great pieces here. There's a bunch of great players, Kyle included, Roquan, all the guys. And I feel like, there's excellent pieces here for us to be able to work towards being the best defense in the NFL.
I mean, you talk about defense being able to run the ball. I mean, AFC North football, you also have to think about that, right? You understand because you've obviously been with Baltimore. But AFC North, you got games obviously outside Baltimore miserable, Pittsburgh miserable, Cleveland miserable, Cincinnati miserable. You have to have great defense, don't you? That's like AFC North football is you have to have an incredible defense, which is why I think Pittsburgh people thought defensive coordinator maybe for the head coach. I think people understood why they go defense with the Ravens because that's kind of AFC North football. Tell me about Lamar Jackson as your quarterback. This is obviously, whenever we talked about the coaching vacancy in the coaching cycles, there was an MVP available with no head coach up there in Buffalo. There was an MVP in Baltimore. It felt like it was the first time, long time, first time forever. Whenever Lamar Jackson's a quarterback of a team, what does that mean for you as the head coach, a defensive guy? And what was the conversation around Lamar Jackson and the stars of this team currently during the hiring process?
Yeah, first of all, being the head coach of the team that has the best player in the National Football League is pretty exciting. Like you said, these jobs with this caliber of quarterback don't often turn over. And so when it came open, the respect and love I have for Lamar and having been here before, having seen him come up as he was drafted here, what he did in his first few years, having had defended him last year in 2024 in Los Angeles. Grateful, excited, stoked to have the best player in the league as our quarterback. And I think what that says is your window is always open. You got the best player in the world behind center. You got a group of guys on offense that have elite talent and elite playmaking skills. And look forward to building an offense and building a team around Lamar Jackson.
Okay, so Greg Roman and Lamar won an MVP. Todd Monken and Lamar won an MVP. Felt like it was a little different styles.
I counted 3 separate times him calling him the best player in the league. That could have been more.
Yeah.
I counted 3. Wow. I think for me, real quick, that stands out was him saying building a team and building an offense around Lamar. And I think they've done that, but I don't think they've done it, to the best of their abilities. I think this past couple of years, we had guys on the perimeter. We had the running back. We had the tight ends. But the O-line lacked. We never had, each pillar be at an above average level. So for me, I'm thinking about the O-line. I think Jesse Minter pointed out that O-line probably in the meeting. Remember we were talking about, what questions are they asking in the interview? I think one of them was how do you take this offense to the next level? And I think for him, it was just fixing that line. I think he didn't say it, but everything he talked about, to me, alluded to the fact that, that line's a lesson and it needs to be fixed. And then obviously defensively, hearing him say that he showed Derwin James, who's been a premier safety since, let's be real, since 2018, 2017. That's crazy. So he was showing him Kyle Hamilton film. That's how good this guy Kyle Hamilton is in, we're going to year 5 right now, I think. So, wow. I don't know. How can you not be excited hearing that? I think it's not the same Harbaugh, and not to bring him up, but we are comparing, so I'm going to bring him up. It's not the same Harbaugh, just jibber jabber. There's accountability taken. It's, it's together. Last year, he was plotting and felt like the offense against the defense. Defense is giving up all these points, but now it's the offense's fault because, obviously they should be getting in the end zone when they're in the red zone, but come on now, the defense is giving up 30 points a game. Why am I getting mad at the offense? You know what I mean? So I still got more to talk about, but yeah, it's promising. It's very promising.
Extremely promising, to say the least, Alex. And, you mentioned the whole we and togetherness that he was mentioning. It's the philosophy for me, quite simply put. I mean, like you mentioned, it seemed like John Harbaugh was low key pitting the offense against the defense. It seemed like, once the offense was performing really well, the defense was ass. When the defense was performing really well, the offense was ass. And it's just like, we need to have a cohesive unit. And that's what he really preached today across every single platform that he went on. And I loved to hear that. I just think that also the fact that he emphasized collaboration is huge as well to me. You had guys like Ronnie Stanley just this past season in locker room media scrums telling reporters things like, yeah, we as players, we want to be more involved with, the play calling and things like that in the direction that we go as an offense. But at the end of the day, we're just going to run the plays that the coaches call. And this is something that Ronnie Stanley has said after a very, very disappointing loss. And I think on multiple occasions as well. So the fact that Jesse Minter seems to, again, be putting an emphasis on collaborating with the players and trusting his players and instilling value in them in that regard, that is important to me. That is imperative, to run a football team of 54 guys, 54 grown men. You know what I mean? You have to be able to trust them. You have to be able to, because, it brings me back to, you know, when we were in the dead of the Harbaugh days, right? Alex, and we used to bring up videos and see old clips of guys like Ed Reed and guys like Ray Lewis, say different things about John Harbaugh, saying basically like, yeah, we didn't always agree with what Harbaugh had going on. And for a long time, it was either his way or the highway. If you didn't see eye to eye with Harbaugh, then, doghouse, basically, unless you were just one of those flat out stars. So it seems like Jesse Minter is kind of shifting away from that. And again, preaching this culture of we and togetherness. I think that he'll be marching hand in hand with his guys on Sundays, and that I love. Now, another thing, Alex, you know, he talked about the OC and the DC hires, and we know these are two positions that are still out there for the Ravens to fill. He said that the Ravens are quote unquote far along in the process and they're finalizing some things, which makes me believe that it is possible we see an OC or a DC hire probably within the next 24 hours. I would think if they're going to get a deal done and soon, I think they would get it done, before the weekend. That's just me. Now, one more thing before I toss it back to you and get some more of your thoughts, Alex. And right now, hold on real quick. Like the video, guys. And if you're part of the hashtag replay gang, comment down below everything you're thinking about this Jesse Minter Media Day, this huge Jesse Minter Media Day. Anyway, Alex, I just want to say this. Whoever we hire as offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator, I want them to be calling plays on the field. I want them to be as close as possible to the living and breathing football game that is happening in front of them. I understand watching from a nice all 22 bird's eye angle might be beneficial for an offensive coordinator. We've seen guys do that, right? But for me, I want, again, if we're gonna have this culture of we and togetherness, we need to all be on the same level playing field. If I need to come up and talk to you and discuss some things with you and go over them in real time so we can make adjustments, then that's what we need to do. I want all the coaches on the field. Alex, I'll toss it back to you. I'm sure we're just gonna ping pong this, but let me know how else you're feeling.
So you're telling me is Todd Monken going to be the head coach from the box?
Talk about it. Talk about it.
I mean, them cold games he was up there in that box. It's pretty warm up
Yeah.
there. Had the drink right there with time to be on the sidelines now. But yeah, I'm actually hardly in agreement with you. I'd love to have my guys on the field. Obviously, being out there is nice, but I think that's what you have assistance for. Being face to face with your guys, coordinator wise. You can talk to them over the phone. You can talk to them. You need that face to face, that facial expression, to get your true feelings out. I think having the guys on the field is big. And defensively, I want to talk about that first. As much as I would like to get this, Jim Schwartz for the pure pettiness in me because of the way things went down with him, it's going to be very hard to see us get a veteran guy when Jesse Minter is going to be running the defense. I think he's going to get somebody developmental, a young, bright mind that will, he can just punt, go back and forth with ideas on, rather than somebody who's, proven like Jim Schwartz. He had what, a top 3, top 5 defense last year. That's not going to happen. But offensively, before we get into that, I just think it'll be somebody, defensively young. I don't have any names right now. I haven't looked at defense because I feel like Jesse Mitchell's taking it over, but offense I have. So I don't know
It's
if
like
you
it's
feel the
almost like
same.
it doesn't really matter, right?
Right. Like it's basically going to be a glorified position coach, that you're
Yeah.
just learning.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I agree for sure. Another thing as well that I picked up from that is that Jesse Minter is already developing relationships with some of the Ravens' key players, right? He's already had multiple conversations with Lamar Jackson. He's had multiple conversations with Kyle Hamilton, right? Of course, he worked, I believe he worked with Kyle Hamilton before, if I'm not mistaken. Could be wrong about that. Anyway, no, I don't think so. I actually don't think that he did. I think I'm mixing him up with another guy. Anyways, I love the fact that he is already developing relationships with these guys because he's going to need it, right? He's going to need the trust, the buy-in from these guys because those are the leaders of this locker room. Lamar Jackson is as non-vocal as he can be at times. Same thing with Kyle Hamilton. Those guys lead by example, right? So if those guys are trusting you, everybody else will follow, right? So make sure that those guys are in easy positions. Also, Jesse Minter mentioned today about Lamar Jackson. He said, hey, we want to build an offense around him, like you mentioned earlier, and we want to make sure we get some easy plays for him, right? So I think that Jesse Minter, him and the coaching staff that he's already built out thus far with Mike Mickens, a DB coach, and then also Dwayne Ledford as offensive line coach / run game coordinator, along with himself, Jesse Minter. These are all guys who have historically been able to do more with less, right? I've been mentioning all week how Jesse Minter has administered a top 5 defense, but 31st in defensive spending. And while the money is already spent over here in Baltimore, a lot of these guys haven't had their potential unlocked in a very long time. So I'm thinking that Jesse Minter can come here and actually make some of these contracts. If we stick with some of them, if we don't trade a Marlon Humphrey or whoever else, right? I think he can maximize whatever they may have left, right? So love the fact that he's developing relationships with players as well. I don't know if you really saw too. Well, yeah, you didn't see the full presser for the Ravens, but Eric DaCosta was sitting next to Jesse Minter, and I'll tell you, Eric DaCosta looks very uncomfortable in 2026. Man, it's like he's walking on eggshells right now.
That seat getting a little warm. That behind's getting a little warm right now. You can feel it. I think he could be on the hot seat. You got to look at just some of his most recent contracts given out. Some of them have been duds, and you're talking about the spending. Jesse Minter trying to get the most of the guys like a Roquan Smith, like a Marlon Humphrey, hell, like a Broderick Washington, who is top 10 in the cap for this year, who really hasn't performed since he's been extended. So I agree. I'm obviously giving a pass on that BK. I mean, come on now, that's not his fault. But yeah, I do have to watch it now. So like, was it just like facial expressions? Was he like not talking like his usual self, or was it just
It's just the body language, man. Kind
okay?
of much like he was at the when Steve Bisciotti was up there with him a couple of weeks ago. That was even worse. I'll say that
Yeah,
that day was
okay,
even worse. But today it was still like very, he just seemed a little bit timid, a little bit timid. I mean, he
okay.
opened up a little bit towards the end, but you can tell, like you said, he's definitely feeling that heat. You know what I'm saying? And Steve Bisciotti, I think he's holding his feet to the fire. I mean, if I would say if the draft is bad this year and the Ravens somehow miss the playoffs again, Eric's gone. He's
Ooh.
gone.
Yeah, even
Uh, yeah.
even the draft in recent years, like I'll pull up, like we haven't had that many hits. Um, our third round picks just don't leave the field. Our past 2 years, Adisa Isaac, Emory Jones. You know what I mean? Like Emory Jones basically had to get in there because somebody got hurt or somebody was just flat out awful. Adisa Isaac, is he even real? Do we know? I'm not too sure. Going back, David Ajabo, second round pick, miss. It's the guys where we should be getting the maximum, just everything from. It's not happening. And I think EDC definitely should be on the hot seat. So I'm kind of happy about that. Hopefully he performs better with a fire under his ass. But we'll see this
Yeah.
draft. 11 picks. I think we have.
Yeah. 11 picks.
Come on, it's time. I think we trade some of them. Move on up.
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah,
time.
come on, man.
You draft
Package
11
them
guys.
up, maybe throw Bateman in a little package, right?
Yeah. Maybe the burner. We get another hacked account from Bateman. We'll see. we'll,
Bates
we'll
burner, Bates burner.
we'll get some more. Man.
Um, Listen, Alex, another big thing for me. By the way, guys, like this video, leave a like on the video, helps us out a ton here. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. We'd appreciate that. This is the Purple Rain Podcast. My name is Sutton Def. This is my co-host, Simply AS10. Alex, um, another big thing that I took away from today's media presser, the one with the Ravens, is that Jesse Minter confirmed, and this is something that we already really knew, but he confirmed that he's going to be calling plays. He's going to be calling the defense, right? And that is going to be something that Ravens fans just aren't quite used to. I mean, John Harbaugh was fighting for his coaching job's life, towards the end, and in the last couple of games, what did he had the little play sheet in his hand, but before that, you never really saw Harbaugh typically, looking at plays, calling plays, things like that. So to have a Jesse Minter who's going to be commanding that defense from field level, right? And he has such a great feel for defense as well. I mean, if you talk to any Chargers fan, every Chargers fan that I've talked to, all the forums I've seen online and things like that, they rave about this guy and how he has such a great pulse on the game, right? So another big thing he talked about, on top of him calling the plays, he said that he will make sure that they're playing their best ball when they need to. And that may seem very vague, but it's something that's important for Ravens fans, because the Ravens have not been doing that over the past 8 years. Like when the Ravens need it the most, something always goes awry and, we end up failing. So I loved everything he said. And by the way, I think maybe the biggest takeaway from the entire media day was that Jesse Minter has an irreproachable approach to media. You know what I mean? Like his media training is second to none. You know what I mean? It almost was giving me flashbacks of like a baby Harbaugh. You know what I mean? And I know that might scare some people. That might scare some people, but he was just extremely buttoned up. His conduct was flawless. He had all the right answers, didn't give too much, didn't give too little either. So, overall, just bravo. Bravo, Mr. Minter. Minter is coming. Minter is coming, y'all.
Wow. Yeah, and you talk about his defense in LA. Like, if we're talking probably the best division in the NFL, it's either the NFC West or the AFC West. And going up against Mahomes twice a year, Herbert twice a year, and then I'm sorry, not Herbert. He's practicing against Herbert every day, and then Bo Nix as well. Like they're playing quality teams throughout the season. They're having tougher schedules. And think about it, his defense was there with a Greg Roman offense. Look at Wink's defense when Greg Roman's offenses were stale. They weren't scoring. They were on the field more. And in fact, I think in the past 2 years they were third in the NFL in points allowed, seventh in yards, and then fifth in passing yards per game. They were fifth, 193.4 yards per game. Last year, weren't we giving up like 350 on average? Like dead last.
Yeah, it was rough.
Dead last. Sam says, yeah, swept Mahomes this year. Had Kelsey on his podcast talking about they're throwing them blitzes they've never seen before. Packages that weren't on film. That they study film. Couldn't see it. That's what we've been waiting for. Innovative guy. And for me, I'm waiting for a guy who's been calling plays on the sideline. Casey says, I believe EDC is not on the hot seat at all. My opinion is he built a top 3 roster out of 5 years. In 2019 was a top 5 roster. 3 out of 5 years.
Mm-hmm. Which, again, I mean, I said this a couple of weeks ago. He did. I think we went into this past season thinking that, okay, this is a roster that can get it done. You know what I mean? It was a Super Bowl or bust season for a reason, and I think that Casey has a point here. However, it's just when your rosters are consistently not getting it done, yeah, you might fire the coach first. But then the next thing that you have to look at, I think, if you're Steve Bisciotti, is, okay, what is your draft hit percentage looking like? And like you mentioned, Alex, it's not too hot. It's not too hot at all. So if you keep going into these drafts with, 10 picks, 11 picks, 12 picks, 7, 8 picks, you know what I mean? Like, and you're not hitting, but for 20% of them or at a 30% clip, if that, then you're not doing your job.
Yeah.
You got to pull a lot of high-end starters out of the draft if your philosophy is going to be, okay, this is the most efficient way. This is the way we're going to win Super Bowls. We're going to draft guys. They're going to perform young. You got to hit on those guys. and he
So
hasn't been hitting on those guys. Go ahead.
yeah, and so here's our draft. A year after we were the 1 seed in the NFL, we went to the AFC Championship. Nate Wiggins, Roger Rosengarten, Adisa Isaac, Tez Walker, TJ Tampa, Rasheen Ali, Devin Leary, Nixon Max, and Nusi Kane. For
Yeah.
me, 2 guys out of how many did I say? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 are getting significant play time. Adisa Isaac, nowhere to be found. Tez Walker, buried. TJ Tampa was hurt for most of his career. Rasheen Ali comes in when he shouldn't be coming in. Devin Leary, are you real? Nick Samak not with us, and Sanusi Kane, I think he went to the Titans. The year before that, Zay Flowers, Trenton Simpson, Tavius Robinson, Kaya Blue Kelly, Malasala Amuve Laulu, and Andrew Voorhees. You remove Zay Flowers from that draft, your first round pick. That is stinky. And Tavius Robinson is saving you. You know what I mean? And then even the year before that, we had all these picks. Thank God, Hamilton, Linderbaum, Travis Jones, Kolar, Stout, Likely. But in between there, you have your Ojabo, you have your Jalen Armour Davis no longer with us, you have your Pepe Williams no longer with us, Tyler Bidet, producing with the Broncos. It's you're not going to hit on every pick. I understand that, but trade up. If you like a guy that much, package picks together and trade up for him. And we have not done that.
Yeah, and that's why I think that Eric DaCosta maybe felt a little pressure to say at that last press conference, not the one today, but the one with Steve a couple of weeks ago, that, hey, maybe we might be potentially looking at, making a big splash and getting a quote unquote big ticket player, right? And part of that, I mean, I think that if you're Eric DaCosta and you just hired Jesse Minter, because Steve Bisciotti made it very clear that EDC was the one who hired Jesse Minter, and Bisciotti just approved of it, right? With that being said, I really do think that Eric DaCosta, if he's going to get a big ticket player, it's going to be to help out Jesse Minter's defense. I do see that. But we'll see. Mad Roster with the $2 super chat donation. Appreciate your brother making it rain here on this episode of the Purple Rain podcast. Mad Roster says Ravens should have fired the general manager too. I mean, if you wanted to really, really start fresh, right? Like really start fresh, then yeah, definitely you could have done that. You could have went that route. But I don't know, man. I don't know. What do you think, though?
I think doing both would have been a little too radical. I'm happy with the decision we made, but do I think EDC should, maybe be looking in the rearview mirror? 100%. We went into it last year thinking we had a top roster and our line wasn't good when we kind of said, address the line. And we thought we did at drafting Emory Jones. Other teams would have their third round pick, maybe competing for a starting spot. And then even defensive line, like your solution. Well, not really. You can't predict losing Matabike, but there's really no viable guys behind him, which, it's hard to replace him. But kind of like give him this year and see. But I'm looking even last year. We had, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I believe, 6th round picks. Why? You're just throwing shit at the wall and hoping it sticks right there. You know what I mean? Like that's not it. I think your mic's muted, by the way.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to transition this over here. I wanted to pull up this other little clip, right? Of it was Eric Weddle talking about Jesse Minter. And I found it very, very interesting. So if you could just bear with me for a second here, Alex. Yeah, give me one more takeaway, I guess.
No, you're good. Yeah. What show is Eric Weddle on? Does he have his own show? If so, I would love to watch it. I didn't know if he's a guest.
I think he was just on some radio show or something like that.
Okay.
I think I saw it on TikTok, and it was just like a sound bite. But hold on, let me see.
He's one of the better football minds.
Plan on calling the defense. Great question. I think that's a strength of mine. I think that's one of the reasons I'm sitting here. But I also think
still looking at this draft from last year. Garrett Dillinger is not even on the roster anymore.
And I really look forward.
Carson Vincent couldn't get a snap.
To do what I need to do to be ready to call.
Peebles got freaking stashed.
I do plan on calling the defense. Great question.
Yeah.
I think that's a strength of mine. I think that's one of the reasons I'm sitting here. But I also think it's my leadership qualities.
Hopefully,
I really look forward. I have a really good process. I feel our special teams, and that there's no divide there, and that I know.
Oh yeah, Kyle Hamilton is definitely a hit. Definitely a hit. And again, I find it ironic that we also have the number 14 pick again, you
Again,
know, and now we have
hopefully,
Jesse Minter. Let's see what he can do with it. Hopefully, he can make something shake with it. A lot of people would say we should go offense. I've actually even seen some people, Alex, say that we should go wide receiver
have
at
to.
that pick, right? There's a couple of guys who have been kind of their names have been floated out there. I haven't done my deep dives just yet, but I've seen guys like Carnell Tate, I believe from Ohio State. Couple other guys as well. I don't know exactly who will be falling into around our pick at 14, but for me, I say absolutely hell no. No. You go trenches or you go nothing. Like I'm if it's not defensive line or offensive line, Ravens fans need to absolutely riot. No, I'm being so
No,
serious, Alex, because you can't. I mean, we already have a good amount of weapons. We went into this past season thinking that, oh yeah, Zay Flowers is going to step it up, Rashad Bateman's going to step it up, Isaiah Likely is going to have a great year, but none of them could. Why? Because the
I'd
offensive
say
line, Lamar
Zay.
Jackson was getting hurt behind it. Say it again.
Yeah, I think Zay held his own for the most part. I mean, it's not his fault. I mean, nobody else trusted.
He came on strong at the very, very end of the year. For the most part, it was just again, we already knew it was going to be around 4 to 5 catches, 50 to 60 yards, and that was it. Towards the end, he started scoring a couple touchdowns, but he would have been better. He would have been even better had we had a viable, competent offensive line, right? Or a defensive line who could get us the ball back more. You see what I'm saying?
At the same time, I don't think we were expecting Isaiah Likely to break his foot. We weren't expecting Mark Andrews to forget how to play the game of football. That too. I mean, a lot of stuff went against our way, and I can't really fault him, but also the usage of D Hop as well. Like I thought he would have got more targets. But now seeing he's like trying to get on streams or something, that I'm kind of happy he's gone. Don't give me any of those weird streamers near my football team. I'm sorry.
Wait, he's trying to do what?
Apparently that neon fella or something, he like wanted to stream with him, or it's like offering him money to stream. If you associate with any
Mm,
streamer, get away from my football team. You know what I mean? It just
clout
doesn't end good.
chasing.
Yeah, look at Puka. Look at like Puka, like damn near like
Mm,
lost like sponsorships because of like some guy trying to get a clip off him. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
maybe I'm just growing up. I'm like get that away from my roster.
No, I mean, I feel it. I feel it. Definitely, stick with the the trusted media sources. He's been on a lot of media outlets recently. DeAndre Hopkins
Yeah,
has talking about different places he could potentially end up. Buffalo was a spot. He said he would cook with Josh Allen basically. He was also talking about how he wouldn't mind running it back with Lamar Jackson in the Ravens, so that's something to look at as well. There was another team who he was talking about. He said he doesn't want to go to Washington,
yeah.
but there was one more team. I can't remember the other team who he said he might be willing to play for. But Buffalo was the one that definitely stuck out. Super chat from Mad Rasta says every Ravens extension ends in disaster. We keep guys a little bit too long. That's the problem. We're not willing to move off guys early enough. I mean, we moved off of Hollywood Brown, right, and ended up getting Tyler Linderbaum. You know what I'm saying? And that worked out pretty damn well for us. So I don't know. Maybe Eric DeCosta will turn back the clocks and make another crucial decision like that sets this organization years ahead. Ticker the Flipper, another super chat here from Ticker says, if it's not trenches this year, it could be bad. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. That's exactly what I'm saying. Again, everything's predicated off of the O line and the D line. I mean, we all know this. That's not rocket science. But Jesse Minter, and this is where Jesse Minter, I would love for him to step in, and tell Eric DeCosta, like, bro, listen, I don't care how many skill pieces we have. I don't care how many great DBs. We can draft the next Kyle Hamilton. If we don't have guys up front, a nasty front four who can push guys around on that O line, then yeah, we're gonna have to ask Kyle Hamilton and who whatever other safety we get back there if Gilman isn't back, you know what I mean, to come down into the box way more than they should be and taking on these guys who are twice their size. That's why you need these guys up front. You need that front four. Adversely on the offensive line, if you want your two-time MVP quarterback to be a three-time MVP quarterback and then a Super Bowl winner, right, for your franchise, you got to protect him. He's 30 plus now. He's not going to get any faster. He's not getting any younger. Yes, he's still a wonderful passer, but even that's limited if you don't get him trenches.
Mm.
So, I think that first round, second round, I would not be mad if they went O line, D line, or D line, O line, whichever one, but it needs to happen. More super chat donations here before we get into this Eric Weddle video talking about Jesse Minter. This one's coming from Asmodeus. Appreciate you, Asmodeus, dropping the 2-piece in the chat. Appreciate you, brother. Says if trenches aren't fixed this year, EDC is fired. Yeah, and I think he knows that. I think he knows that. I think he has to go heavy trenches with the early picks, right? And then package up some of maybe the later picks and maybe a player, maybe a Rashad Bateman, maybe a Marlon Humphrey. I don't know. And go get that big ticket player, fix the trenches, maybe get a star edge piece, and let's ride. That's what I think. What do you think, Alex?
Has to be trenches. I see teams, look at the Patriots. Getting a guy like Milton Williams helps them out. Look at the Seahawks as well. They traded for Leonard Williams. They have guys down there. We neglect it. We pay guys who aren't simply worth the contracts. There should be a new standard at the Ravens. Just because you have a couple good games, get you a new contract. No, like I want to see longevity because that's how you can scam a team. You can have a good back end of the season. Now you just get paid. You're top 10 in cap, and then you just disappear the next 2 years. It feels like it's just too like family oriented. Like there needs to be like a cutthroat mentality here. Like we're not here to make friends. Like here to win Super Bowls. So I'm hoping that kind of like culture leaves. And I'm kind of happy all these coaches are leaving too. Get all that just mentality out of the team. Bring in some new fresh blood, new guys that just have different thinking that aren't sucked in by the Harbaugh way. I want like hopefully the Minter way is just so much better and just cutthroat. And like I said, not rewarding bums to put it nicely. I hate to say it. Like
yeah. And it's funny you mentioned that, Alex, because Jesse Minter was also asked about today by one of the platforms he was on. They said that how are you going to be any different from John Harbaugh? Like what makes you different? What culture are you bringing that's different, right? And Jesse Minter basically said in so many words, like it's just going to be my style of teaching the defense, my style of like how a team should run, how teams should get ready for games and things like that. And it's just his take on it. So I can't wait to see his spin on it and how the players respond to it, because that's going to be the most important part. How the players respond to Jesse Minter's leadership, Jesse Minter's process, right? On top of all of the schematics, X's and those things that he offers too. But we'll see. We'll see. Mad Roster here with the super chat donation. Alex, you take this one. Says we needed wide receiver. Bateman is trash.
Whew.
Trash.
I'm at the point now. I'm not saying trash. Guy 19 catches. I don't know what went wrong last year, but when I'm seeing guys like Puka and JSN put up his numbers in one game, how can I fight back? What is my rebuttal to that? Very little. I'm not going to resort back to 2024. It's a what have you done for me lately league, and what you've done lately was 19 catches when you're making a solid amount of cap. So I can't fight back at that. Do I agree? No. But why is he saying that? Understand it.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of what went wrong, Alex, again, no O-line, no production from a wide receiver. I mean, we force-fed Zay Flowers, force-fed him, but Bateman, we just kind of like spoon-fed him every now and again. Again, he was maybe like the fourth option on most days on a run-first team, so it was just unfortunate. He was kind of like a casualty of the offensive line. I'll say that. Lamar couldn't really go through his reads to get to Bateman most times. But thank you, Mad Roster, for the super donation. We got another one coming from Ticker Flipper again. Appreciate you. Says Jesse Minter should know better. Herbert ran a lot because of the hurt line. Yeah, he was running for his life.
Yeah, like the way we feel about Daniel Falele is how they felt about Bradley Bozeman. Didn't know it got that bad with him. I saw they made a joke about like the worst O lineman in the league. And I saw Mekhi Becton was up there, Daniel Falele was up there, Bradley Bozeman. I'm like, damn, like, all right. Chargers had a bad O line, and Minter's going against that every day in practice, so he probably knows how important that line is. So I'm hoping he gets that fixed up. Maybe that's like the first big project for him is just getting this line fixed up.
Yeah. I mean, because look, again, if I'm Jesse Minter, I'm for damn sure not going to risk my job, my new job, right? Because I didn't address the O-line. No, I mean, again, logically speaking, these guys know that every game is won or lost in the trenches. So I think Jesse Minter coming in, he is going to want a fresh start at that line on both sides, so we can see some success going forward. Now, let me see. Thank you so much, Tigger Flipper. We also have Hoodie Ramey in the chat, friend of the show. Shout out to Hoodie Ramey. Was on the last
What up, what up?
last Thursday's episode of the show with him and Coach Evan. Shout out to Sips Tally as well. Hoodie Ramey says Webb just withdrew from the Raiders' consideration. Could be a Ravens guy. Davis
Ooh,
Webb, that is. Davis Webb, that is. I
okay.
believe pass game coordinator for the Denver Broncos. Now, the only problem I have with this is, didn't Denver fire their offensive coordinator?
They did. They did.
So if that spot is vacant, I would assume that Davis Webb is probably just going to get promoted within Denver. You know what I mean, Ramey?
Or you got a place like Baltimore call him.
Yeah, could. I mean, it is a more, well, I can't say it's a more attractive job. The Broncos were just in the AFC Championship game. You know, they've got something cooking there.
They could have a little quarterback head coach controversy cooking as well. I don't know if you saw Bo Nix wasn't happy the way Sean Payton outed his
Oh,
Iowa.
yeah. Yeah. You know, if
Yeah.
another if they don't do as well next season, Sean Payton might not be around too much longer, right? Who owns the Broncos? Isn't it Walmart? The Waltons, right?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, yeah,
The-
yeah.
I think real quick, this is like a random fact to know. Like the
Sure.
Waldens, I believe you know who Stan Kroenke is, right? The owner of the Rams.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I believe he is married to the Walden's daughter. Money and money. Crazy.
Wow.
Crazy. That's
That's an insane amount of money in one family.
it's insane.
That's not even money at that point. That is just wealth and power, and yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. But appreciate you for coming through, Hoodie Ramey. That's our guy there, friend of the show. He's going to be on more through the off season, so don't even worry about that. So let me see. We got Void with the super chat donation. Void dropping the 10-piece in the chat, man. Shout out to Void. Clap it up. Clap it up for Void, man. That's what's up. Dropping the 10-piece, making it rain here at the Purple Rain podcast. Void says, all things considered. By the way, Void is also a member too, so shout out to him. All things considered, roster-wise, wide receiver is a second world problem. The trenches, on the other hand, is beyond third world. Trenches control the entire game, and right now our guys are up front are very questionable. Alex?
I can agree. Let's look at the Patriots real quick. Who receiving wise scares you from them?
I mean, I'm not gonna sit up here and say and act like Kayshon Boutte terrifies me. I can't act like Stephon Diggs really terrifies me, even though he dismantled us when he played. For some reason, he just went off. But nobody really.
Keon Coleman cooked us. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
Mr. I love cookies. He cooked us. I had to just I can't say Keon Coleman without saying that. I'm sorry. I feel for him. You know, that stuck to him forever.
It did.
Like Stephon Diggs, 5 catches, 17 yards in the AFC Championship. It wasn't something for 2.5 quarters like that. That was it. So, but Drake May, I mean, they keep him upright for the most part. I mean, I know Campbell had a tough time, but that's how they got there. You know, they were making very little mistakes, getting the ball to guys who were open. Then you look at the Seahawks, man, JSN. I mean, they got Cooper Kupp. I mean, this guy's producing all around. But we've seen like a good line is it's that important. It's that important. I mean, I think there will be receivers out there you either trade for or sign, but or you can draft. Maybe the drafting is different. Maybe we can develop guys under Jesse Minter. Who knows? We don't know right now. We can't sit here and say we can draft a guy in the 3rd or 4th round and he'll be a special teamer only because we don't know.
I think that this is also why whoever the Ravens bring in as offensive coordinator is crucial, because whoever that is needs to have enough, how do I say, scouting ability to sniff out a damn good wide receiver. Of course, Eric DeCosta will be right there with him, but I think you need a young offensive mind who knows exactly what would work in a relevant passing offense, right? To kind of work with him on that. Todd Monken, I don't know how hands on he was, in the draft and choosing receivers, or I don't know how hands on a guy like Greg Roman was. But whoever the Ravens bring in next, if I'm Jesse Minter, I'm bringing in my offensive coordinator in the war room and saying, "Hey, look, we want to take a wide receiver. Which guys are you liking on the board? Because you're the guy who's going to be scheming up plays for him to succeed. You know, uh, but on top of that, Tez Walker needs more touches next year. I'll just leave it at that. You could take it from there, Alex.
During draft time, and listen, I'm not going to be that. This is not me being the whole Ed DC Ray head coach. During draft time, one of the few guys I love listening to is Steve Smith. The way he evaluates wide receivers, um,
Yeah,
very, very good. Like calling guys from the small schools. I'm not saying hire him, but like getting a guy who has a track record like that, who has proven time and time again. It's not obviously you're not calling out the first rounders, you're just calling on the smaller school guys. That's what we need, because we aren't going to have that top 5 pick where we can get a Jamar Chase. It's just not going to happen. I don't want us to have a top 5 pick, but you got to find your Puka Nakuas, stuff like that. But
yeah, yeah.
Harbaugh wanted him. Cool, he'd be playing special teams right now. Him and Tyler Wallace would be arguing who's going to be the gunner on that punt, not about who's going to be their receiver catching. It's the truth.
Yeah, and that's the issue. That's the big issue, or was the big issue with Harbaugh. I mean, I'm thanking our lucky stars, man. I'm calling God. I'm thanking Him. The fact that we got John Harbaugh and that philosophy out of here, and we're gonna get a new guy again, Jesse Minter, who thinks a little bit differently from other coaches, and this is actually a testament from Eric Weddle, kind of confirming that.
He sat by me in meetings his first year. He would just ask questions that not like a normal coach would ask, right? Or even think about. Like, he had a different way of looking at the game, kind of like a lot like myself. And so we instantly, he just had a great demeanor about himself. He knew where his stood, right? Like, he was a young guy. He was young in the profession. He had to grind. He had to learn. So he just sat back and listened and did his job, but also just soaked up all the information. I just felt like a lot like Mike McDonald. They have this it factor, and it's hard to explain, but there's something inside them that breeds greatness. A guy who knows the Raven way and what it means to play like a Raven, and knows the expectation, the standard of excellence, bring a new voice, a new flavor, a new vision, but also understanding the expectation in that Super Bowl. So couldn't be more pumped and ecstatic, and a guy that's really worked hard for this opportunity.
Yeah, Alex, what do you think when you hear that?
I mean, obviously, I'm excited. It's a new chapter. We aren't gonna know until we see the pads on, the players on the field come week 1. But it's nice hearing that. It's nice hearing that this guy was asking questions that, a guy like Weddle, when he came here, he was a seasoned vet, been around, a lot of top players. It's good to hear. It's just like, you want to hear it. You don't want to hear the bad things, but I don't know. It's hard to, make me like it even more right now. I mean, that's just kind of adding on to me. So going here and that, hopefully he can, elevate our safeties, especially one guy in Malachi Starks, our first round pick from last year, who, I mean, didn't make a lot of mistakes, but at the same time, didn't make those game changing picks you want on your first round pick. But it's a whole new defense now. You can attribute the defense last year for why he didn't produce, and I'm not mad at that. But it's on the next year, and I see Slicer saying that play like a Raven stuff. Yeah, they do overuse it. To me, it's kind of time for a new chapter. You're not going to have Trevor Price walk through that door. Jerry Johnson's not going to walk through that door. Obviously, the Ray, Ed, Nadas, they aren't going to walk through the door. You're not going to have McAllister walk through there. We need something new.
See, I personally don't have a problem with the whole play like a Raven saying. Now, the whole who's got it better than us, nobody, was infuriating, right? And that needed to go. I think that more so needed to go than something like this. Playing like a Raven, all that really means is just playing hard, physical, fast football, smart football, instinctive football. You know what I mean? Like that's really all it means. And it's just the Ravens thing. It's personable to the Ravens. So I really don't have an issue with it. I just think that, everybody can have their own spin on it. Everybody can have their own take on it, right? And I think that Jesse Minter will come in and give his own take on what playing like a Raven really, really looks like on a day in and day out basis. So again, I don't have an issue with it. I'm all for keeping it up in the locker room and all that good stuff. But yeah, I mean, when I listen to Eric Weddle say what he said there, talking about how he was asking questions that guys normally don't ask. But like when you think about it, you ever had somebody ask you something, Alex, that was just like super thought provoking, and you were just like, damn, like I never would have thought you would have asked me something like that. But it makes you think twice and three times, two, three, four times about your stance on something, your opinion on something, and it causes you, it influences you, right, to think differently, to think to maybe a higher level, right? So I think that's what Jesse Minter will bring to this defense. Again, just talking about how he you know, adds value, instills value to his players. I remember there was a clip during the mic'd up with the Chargers, where he was one on one talking to Derwin James, right? And he was Derwin James was trying to explain a play from the previous week's game to Jesse Minter and telling him why he did this, why he did that. And Jesse Minter basically like validated everything he was saying, but also said, "Oh yeah, you also did this and that. You did that same thing in this game too." Like a total callback to like another moment, right? Which was like super cool for me because it like what it tells you as a player is like my coach knows, my coach sees me, right? My coach knows I have value, therefore I feel valuable, right? And that's what's going to make me perform better on Sundays, knowing that my coach trusts me, he instills value into me, right? And that's huge. That's huge. So I think that he'll bring a lot of things that, will have us not thinking about not liking the play like a Raven phrase. Like we'll probably fall in love with it all over again, maybe in a year's time.
I think the definition has changed. From what I learned of it, it's changed. Play like a Raven now, perennial chokers. That's kind of what it feels like now for me. The defense hasn't really played fast and physical for years. We even talked about last year, 2024. They only turned it around because we were playing bums. We were playing Tommy DeVito, Russell Wilson, CJ Stroud. I'll give it. Great game. But before that, we were getting cooked. So I feel like much like with meanings throughout time, they can change definition wise. I want to see it go back to the '08 era. That's what I want to see. Because I think it's since, as time went on, it changed. So if Midrick can restore what it used to be, I'm all for it.
Yeah. But that's why you need a guy with some attitude on that defense, right? Because if you want that '08 back, Alex, I mean, truthfully, that's a little bit more than X's and O's. I've said this before. It's about the Jimmies and Joes. I think I said that last week. Like, you need a guy. And maybe that big ticket player. I know a lot of people have been floating around the Max Crosby name out there, but whoever you can get who is going to play hard, play fast, play physical, and nasty, right? Because only if you have those four things can you be considered like a bully and kind of reinstill that. I mean, we talk about play like a Raven. I think you're referring to the bully ball Ravens, right? That is what I grew up with, and I would love to get back to that. But again, it's about who you have, in those jerseys on Sundays. So we'll see what the Ravens do if they end up getting a player who can bring that back, because I think it takes a little bit more than a coach, unless you have a guy like Mike Vrabel, as head coach, who was like, will run through a wall himself. You think about, you mentioned the Patriots defense earlier, Alex. I mean, who are some of these standout players? You mentioned Milton Williams. I know standout players on the Patriots defense, right? That really, really scare you week in and week out. Who would you say?
I mean, their front, I think they've had corner like Carlton Davis. I think he stepped up. The
Mm,
thing is, they don't have that big names. Like they have guys,
yeah,
all up guys playing for each other. I don't
yeah,
think we've seen that with the Ravens. Christian Gonzalez, yeah, 100%. You have guys that can do it defensive back wise. I mean, we have our guys not playing their strengths. We have them 10 yards off. We don't have
yeah.
our guys pressing. You know what I mean? Like
No,
that's the difference. We aren't playing
yeah,
guys to their strengths. We have not been playing guys to their strengths under Harbaugh. We've been for years. We've been playing guys out of position. Guys like Camille Correa that literally went to a different team and shut down our best offense ever in 2019. That's been my problem. I think with Harbaugh, my gripe. It was his way or the highway. Guess what, buddy? you hit the highway. So that's another reason why I'm excited. We're gonna draft guys and play them to their strengths. I hope we're not gonna be switching positions. Well, you do this well, so we're gonna switch you here, or we're you never played tackle in college, but we're gonna have you play tackle, or you never play guard, we're gonna
Trust
have you play guard.
trust us. We know best. We can do
Yeah,
this. We know
yeah.
best. Yeah.
I'm a hardball.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
got
yeah.
it.
Yeah. Hold on, I'm a
I work out
hardball.
still at 60. I work out. I got it. Congrats, John. So do a lot of other people at your age. You're not
It's like
special.
respectfully, I squat. What? How much does he squat again? What was it? It was something I can't even remember what it was. Respectfully, I squat 250 at 60 years old, brother. I mean, you're a defensive tackle. You're gonna play corner today, and you're gonna like it.
Literally,
You know what I'm
Michael
saying?
Pierce, get ready to learn dropping back in coverage. It's all good.
Yep.
Get right.
All
Like,
good. Don't worry. You might get an interception one day.
man,
Oh
Jesse
man.
Minter, please save me. Oh man.
Please. Please. Mentor is coming though. Mentor is coming. If there was one thing that we learned today, we learned, he's kind of a politician, but he gave us just enough to tell us that this is going to be a totally new regime in Baltimore. He's working with the players, already communicating with the Ravens top players. He's saying he's preaching a culture of accountability and togetherness and cohesiveness to have the defense complementing the offense. He's saying that he's not going to be ignoring the offense, right? He's going to be very hands-on with that as well. He understands that's his role as a head coach. All of these things. He's also going to call the defense on the field, so for the first time in a long time, we're going to have the head coach taking on that responsibility. And I mean, I love everything about that. I love everything about that. It puts less stress on the coordinators, right? Which I don't really think makes much sense anyway. I've always thought that the head coach should be equally hands-on with the offense and the defense. Maybe not necessarily calling both, but at least one side of the football, right? Like as the head guy, you should be able to at least man one side of the field. But again, Lisa said at the very, very beginning of this show, which we're getting ready to wrap up here, this episode 374. She said at the very beginning, she said she's not sold on Mentor yet. Hopefully, after everything you just listened to and learned today, Lisa, you are now sold. And if you're not Lisa, you're anybody else watching and you weren't sold yet on Mentor, hopefully you watching at home are now sold. If you're not, rewind and listen again, because we said some really good stuff. We did some really, really good stuff in here, and Jesse Mentor said some really good stuff at the top of the show too. Don't forget to join the Rain Gang, like and subscribe to the channel. If you are new, please leave a like on the video. Y'all helps us out a ton here with the algo. Y'all know how that goes. If you're watching us over on X, shout out to you. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Sutton Def. That's me. And then also my guy Simply AS10 on Twitter at Simply AS10. And you can also follow us on Instagram at The Purple Rain Podcast, on TikTok at Purple Rain Podcast. We're very active on there nowadays as well. So check out those platforms too. And also got to bring up the jersey giveaway for all of our official channel members. We will be giving away a Lamar Jackson jersey, color of your choosing, Super Bowl weekend. We will be announcing the winner on Super Bowl weekend. So if you want to automatically enter for a chance to win that, all you have to do is join our channel membership. But I think that's gonna do it for us here. Alex, did you have anything else for us before we get out of here?
Not really. I hope we have maybe a new coach or so when we even talked about OC, like who we want as OC. I forget, DC, it's hard to name a name because you can't throw, for me, a veteran guy in there. And OC, it's like 5 or 6 names, but we really haven't been linked with anybody like crazy. So they've kept it quiet. The Ravens have. I will applaud them for that. They've kept it quiet, coordinator wise.
But apparently we're getting close.
Yeah.
Close. They said they're far along in the process and they are finalizing some things. So again, I think that big business normally gets done before the weekend. So maybe by tomorrow we will see maybe either an OC hire or a DC hire. Either way, of course, on this channel, we will be covering it. So if that sounds good to you, you want to tune into some future takes on some future actions from this Baltimore Ravens team, please, again, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you'll know every time we go live here at PRP. But okay. Let me see here. If we get out of here, live chat. Queendom Come says, weird take. Which take?
If it's me, I've had a lot of them. Football or soccer. So it won't be my first and it won't be my last.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's one thing about PRP. you're going to get some perspective here at PRP that you're not going to get anywhere else. I can definitely say that, right? So some of our takes might be a little weird. Some of our takes might be a little, out there, a little eccentric, right? But it's supposed to provide you a different perspective. Purple Rain perspective, right?
I'll ask you this. What's your
Sure.
worst take ever that aged badly? 'Cause I know what mine is.
Worst take ever that let me think. We've been doing this show for 5 years.
We keep it football, yeah.
Worst take, you go first with yours. I got to think.
I thought, this is going to throw it back. I thought Dorial Green Beckham was going to be a very good wide receiver. That's throwing it back. I thought, I may have been blinded. I thought Johnny Manziel would have gotten a second chance and made it happen. That was never going to work. I don't know how. Don't know why I thought that after hearing, this guy's still doing drugs. So like he never grew up. Raven wise as well. I'm going with James Prochet. He had me fooled with them jugs. He had me fooled.
Yeah. So I mean, honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, I really don't be missing like that, Alex. I'll say that. However, there is one that comes to mind. And I think it was both of us, but David Ojabo, right? I personally thought that coming out of Michigan, like he was going to be the next star pass rusher. I thought we got him for a steal. I remember the night we went live talking about that when we drafted him, and he has amounted to absolutely nothing. Right? I think he had one good play in his first 2 seasons, right?
Yeah.
One or maybe 2 good plays, and he's maybe had 2 good plays since then. So I think that if I had to say what my worst take was, I'm sure I have a lot of other ones, but that would probably be it for me. That'd probably be it for me.
I mean, I get it because let me think. Was that? Then we got Mike McDonald. I think the year after. So like, all right, like he'll cook. No, that was Mike McDonald's first year. So we had Mike Mack. That was his first year, and we drafted Ojabo. So like, okay, it makes sense. It makes sense that we drafted him because Mike knows how to use him. So I get that. Stretch that Sergio Kindle. Yeah, don't worry. I thought Dan Cody from Oklahoma was going to be good. If I want to throw it back that far with the Ravens. Actually, no, I thought Troy Smith was going to be a really good quarterback. That was wrong.
Yeah. Damn. Well, the weather take, that one's subjective. Right? I still believe that weather shouldn't impact football games. You cannot convince me otherwise. And on that, we will leave you here on this episode 374 of the Purple Rain podcast. We already did the housekeeping stuff again. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, join the membership if you want a chance to win a free Lamar Jackson jersey. Stay positive, test negative, and never, ever, ever forget, even on the rainiest of days, to call God. Until next time, we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.